A long time afterward, when the Lord had given rest to Israel from all their surrounding enemies, and Joshua was old and well advanced in years, Joshua summoned all Israel, its elders and heads, its judges and officers, and said to them, I am now old and well advanced in years, and you have seen all that the Lord your God has done to all these nations for your sake. For it is the Lord your God who has fought for you. Behold, I have allotted to you as an inheritance for your tribes those nations that remain, along with all the nations that I have already cut off from the Jordan to the great sea in the west. The Lord your God will push them back before you and drive them out of your sight, and you shall possess their land, just as the Lord your God promised you. Therefore, be very strong to keep and do all that is written in the book and the law of Moses, turning aside from it neither to the right hand nor the left, that you may not mix with these nations remaining among you, or make mention of the names of their gods, or swear by them, or serve them, or bow down to them. But you shall cling to the Lord your God, just as you have done to this day. For the Lord has driven out before you great and strong nations, and as for you, no man has been able to stand before you to this day. One man of you puts to flight 1,000, and it is the Lord your God who fights for you, just as he has promised you. Be very careful, therefore, to love the Lord your God. For if you turn back and cling to the remnant of these nations remaining among you, and make marriages with them, so that you associate with them and they with you, know for certain that the Lord your God will no longer drive out these nations before you, but they shall be snare and a trap for you, a whip on your sides and thorns in your eyes, until you perish from off this good ground that the Lord your God has given you. And now I am about to go the way of all the earth, and you know in your hearts and souls, all of you, that not one word has failed of all the good things that the Lord your God has promised concerning you. All have come to pass for you. Not one of them has failed. But just as all the good things that your Lord your God promised concerning you have been fulfilled for you, so the Lord will bring upon you all the evil things until he has destroyed you from off this good land that the Lord your God has given you. If you transgress the covenant of the Lord your God, which he commanded you, and go and serve other gods and bow down to them, then the anger of the Lord will be kindled against you, and you shall perish quickly from off the good land that he has given you. In this text, we are reading the farewell words of Joshua. Think about today. If you had reason to believe that you would not be on this earth much longer, what would you say to those close to you? What would your final words, your final instruction be? Would it be something trivial like, make sure you tie your shoes so you don't trip? Or maybe, make sure you keep an umbrella in your car in case of rain? No, right? Your parting words would most likely be more of a summation of the most critical life lessons you have gained, something you would like to pass along, maybe a warning of how people can heed your advice after living such a life. For Joshua, the first thing he says is, in essence, don't forget. He says, you yourselves have seen everything the Lord your God has done to all the nations for your sake. It was the Lord your God who fought for you. He then goes on in verse 7 to instruct them not to associate with the nations that remain among them, and that they are not to invoke the names of their gods or swear by them. Can you even imagine seeing firsthand the miracles that this generation experienced and then forgetting who you were to worship? Can you imagine God parting the Red Sea for your father and then making the sun stand still and hail defeat armies for you, and then you worshiping something short of this miracle worker? This is something the Israelites struggled with time and time again. If you recall, they couldn't even wait for Moses to get down from the mountain before they were worshiping a golden calf. And how quickly did the miracle of manna turn into a burden and a reason for complaint amongst the people of Israel? It's easy for us, with the hindsight of these historical stories, to say, man, how can they act like that after all God has done? After all God has done. What about us, though? If you're struggling through a tough time, it's so easy to let your mind wander and think, is this really what's best? Is God really going to let this happen? Is there something I can control that may change the outcome for the better? Are you ever quick to complain? What do you turn to in times of struggle? We so quickly forget to look back and remember all that God has done, all the times he has fought for us. In the hurt, in the hard times, God has always been faithful, and he will always be faithful. Joshua goes on to say, you know with all your heart and soul, and not one of all the good promises the Lord your God gave you has failed. Every promise has been fulfilled. Not one has failed. Are you standing steadfast to a promise God has made you? Has any promise God has given you, or better yet, anyone since the beginning of time ever failed? In order to weather the storms, we must remember and hold on to all that God has done in previous battles, and even in our day-to-day. We simply can't forget. Forgetting leaves us open to doubt and even idol worshiping, searching for that quick fix that is not the God who has always defeated your adversaries and who promises to continue to do so. It is up to us to practice gratitude during the good times, so when the hard times come, rather than panicking and forgetting, it's easy to reflect and foreshadow on all that God has done and what he continues to do for us personally. Do you thank God daily for all the blessings in your life, all the miracles, all the battles he has won on your behalf? Or when things go your way, when you have a major success or your adversaries do not, are you quick to celebrate and move on to the next big battle without stopping with gratitude in your heart to thank the one who won the battle for you? Let's take a moment today to thank God for what he has done, and also to spend time reflecting on the many promises he has fulfilled in our lives up until this point, so that when the rough times come, we do not waver, because we know in our hearts that God will prevail just as he always has.